Now we will continue the solution of the problem that we have at hand. You know, it goes without saying by now, the rhetoric should have caught on that we are still some distance into the examination problem that was next to impossible. And where we are at the moment is that we solved this problem before, but we are taking another approach in arriving at the answer. So the previous audiovisual should contain pretty much the whole introduction and the substitution that we are making right there. That was also a part of it. And we should just continue solving this equation. Now, in solving this equation, on the last occasion, we eliminated the -2 from the left-hand side. Now, we are going to eliminate 145 from the right-hand side. So, on this occasion, eliminate 145 from the right-hand side by subtracting 145. So, we are no doubt subtracting 145 from both sides. Our intention is to eliminate it from the right-hand side. However, whatever we do to change the value of one side of an equation, we need to do the same to change the value of the other side in the same way. So we are subtracting 145 from both sides. So there we have the result, which is the following step. So we have the step that follows 3n squared. We will have it here, -2 minus 145 will give us -147. So our microscopic view always, is of very great importance. So divide through the equation by the common factor of 3. Now this term is a multiple of 3. This term is a multiple of 3. Of course, 0 is 3 times 0. So we may go straight ahead and do that division. So while doing that, notice that everything is under the microscope. So we have 3n squared, which is our first term, divide by 3, and the result is n squared. So we'll go to the next one. -147 divided by 3 will give us -49. And of course, on the right hand side, 0 divided by 3, the result is 0. Right, so everything under the microscope, and we have the result right there. Now we need to solve this equation. And students, although we are working with sequence and series, we have an algebraic expression right there. And it's going to be very important for students to have a good knowledge and understanding of algebra. So we have n squared minus 49 is equal to 0. Those students who have done their homework will recognize the expression on the left hand side as a difference of 2 squares. Also, they will recognize that expression as a quadratic expression. So this expression is a quadratic expression. It is in the form of a difference of 2 squares, which means that we are solving a quadratic equation whose left-hand side is a difference of 2 squares. And we are about to solve this one by factorization. So we will solve this equation by the method of factorization. Therefore, we need to factorize that difference of 2 squares. So we are making provision for the factorization of the difference of 2 squares. Now, this is just a snapshot of what we mean by factorizing the difference of 2 squares. We have done extensive work on factorization in Richard James Mathematics Resources. So I'm not going to be taking the entire time just to factorize the difference of two squares right here. So we realize that we have two squares, n squared and 49, which is the square of 7. So we're just showing in the nick of time how we will arrive at the two factors. So we take the n squared that we have here, we take the square root of that, and we also take the square root of 49. So we take the square root of n squared, and we will take the square root of 49. So the square root of n squared is n. That will take its place right there. And of course, the square root of 49 is 7. 7 will take its place there and there. And of course, the signs that we have are two different signs in the two pairs of brackets. Each of the factor is equated to 0. And this also is in line with the solution of a quadratic equation by factorization, which we cannot go at length to explain right here. So we have the two factors, n plus 7, n minus 7. Those two numbers are being multiplied and the result is 0, or we may say those two expressions. Those two expressions are being multiplied and the result is 0. If we have two numbers multiplying, the result is 0. Then one must be equal to 0, the other is equal to 0, or both of them are equal to 0. As long as the product is 0, we know that we have a 0 multiplying somewhere in there. So we are saying, since this is being multiplied by this, we are going to say n plus 7, just to take a look at the result if n plus 7 is equal to 0. So if n plus 7 is equal to 0, what will we do? If n minus 7 is equal to 0, what will we do? In the first case, eliminate the positive 7, because we are saying n plus 7 is equal to 0. That we will do by subtracting 7, and we'll do that on both sides. Then, of course, on the right-hand side, not to the right-hand side, but the other factor, for the other factor, n minus 7 is equal to 0. So if n minus 7 is equal to 0, what do we do? Eliminate this negative 7 by addition. And of course, we are going to add 7 to the other side also. So it is not shown here that we're actually subtracting 7 from that side. But we had to subtract 7 from this side, else we could not end up with n. So if we did not subtract 7 from the left-hand side, then n could not be the only thing that is there at the moment. So although that step was not shown, it was done. And the same here. Although we are not showing here that we added 7 to that left-hand side, if we did not add 7 to that left-hand side, then the negative 7 could not have been eliminated. So that justifies our statement right here. And notice that because of the two factors with their particular features, then the result is that we have a positive 7 and a negative 7 for our answer. So n is equal to plus or minus 7, as shown here, that one factor gave a negative 7 and the other factor gave a positive 7. The number that refers to the terms of a sequence must be an element of the set of natural or counting numbers, and that is why we are choosing the positive one. All natural numbers are positive numbers. There is no negative natural number. So the negative one is discarded, and we proceed to say that n is equal to positive 7. For access to hundreds of free videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Richard James Mathematics Resources. For unlimited access to thousands of exclusive full-length videos, please subscribe to our Vimeo channel, Richard James Mathematics Resources.